Of course, in the Navy, if we want to get our bearings, we don't use this fixed line of sight. Everybody would have a different fixed line of sight and make our frame of reference different. So to give everybody the same frame of reference, we use a 360-degree measure. Instead of saying north, we say course 000. Instead of saying east, we say course 090. 180 would be south, 270 by the magnetic compass would be west, of course. 360 degrees would be 000 degrees again. This way we have only one compass bearing that we have to consider. So let's consider the following situation. At exactly 1000 hours, your ship proceeds along a bearing of 035 for 35 degrees for 10 nautical miles, and then it's ordered to change course to 125 degrees and proceed for another 10 nautical miles. We ask, how far are you from your original point at the 1000-hour mark? Well, let's map this. Let's see where we're at here. So we have our trip, and we say at exactly 1000 hours, we're at some point, and we travel for 10 nautical miles at an angle of 0.035. So that means, as the compass is concerned, 035 might look something like this. 035 degrees would be this new course as compared to north. So we are going to travel at that 035 degrees as compared to north. But then we're ordered to change course south. Change course anyways in a way that brings us to a new course 125, right? So the course 125 would be something probably more like this. Course 125, right, means 125 degrees as compared to magnetic north. So at some point up here, 10 nautical miles away, we go 10 nautical miles right here, and we're ordered to travel at 125 degrees, of course 125 degrees for 10 nautical miles, right? And our course in this case is 125 degrees as compared to north. So the question is, how far from our original point over here did we get? Well, it turns out that most of these right triangle applications, whether they involve navigation or finding the heights of steeples on churches or whatever it is, deals with some geometry. And our geometry tells us right here a couple of things. First of all, if we were to make a triangle out of this situation, what would we find? Well, dealing with our 35 degrees, here's our line, let's say 090. If we were to travel 35 degrees as compared to north, here's 35 degrees, then we would find that this angle in here is the uh, 55 degree angle, right? So we've got this 55 degree angle. Then we've got another angle, 125 degrees, right? We might ask, well, as compared to our original 035 degree angle, where are we at? Well, let's check this out. Let's see, 125 degrees off of our original course. Let's see, if we do a little bit of geometry right here, that means that making a parallel line down here, 125 minus 90 degrees gives us 35 degrees. Ooh, interesting. That 35 degree looks kind of familiar right here, right? And so if we're doing our geometry here, what angle is left? Well, working that out, that angle happens to be 90 degrees. How do I know? Well, again, working with my angles right here, this angle right here is another 55 degrees if I were to come out of the west. I'm looking at my algebra. 180 minus 35 minus 55 gives me 90. So I've actually got a 90 degree angle right here at this point. And that means that I have a right triangle. in which I've gone 10 nautical miles this way, 10 nautical miles this way, and the question is, what is my distance? Well, if that's the hypotenuse of a right triangle, let me bring it down here, make it look more familiar. That 90-degree angle that we turn has 10 nautical miles on one side, 10 nautical miles on the other. What is our distance? Well, we don't even really need to do a whole lot of trigonometry right here. We could say that, well, that distance squared would be the sum of the squares of my two distances on the side, now that we know it's a right triangle. So c squared is equal to 100 plus 100, 200. Taking the square root of both sides, the square root of 200 is the same thing as saying 10 times the square root of 2, but since we're looking for a decimal amount, we're going to say that our distance has become 14.4 nautical miles. So we've traveled about 14 and a half nautical miles from our original point.